Hi, I want to invite you to partner with me on a mission that's going to transcend generations on the continent of Africa. You see, as a continent, we're the most minerally endowed. We're the richest continent naturally. Yet, we receive the least benefit of our natural resources. African people spread across the world face a similar fate. People of African descent, especially Black Africans, have continued to be victims of inequality in economics, in healthcare delivery, in education, in infrastructure development. And this can date back to 400 years ago, to the effects of slavery and colonialism. And it's easy to see how the systems have ganged up against Black people all over the world. I mean, on this continent, even on this continent, in our own homes, we don't control our economies. But while it's easy to blame, and that's what happens with most Africans and most Black folk, we need to stop and ask ourselves, how are we creating this? How are we showing up consciously or otherwise, such that we continue to appear at the bottom? How are we being today that we don't get credit for our innovations and inventions? How are we being the least represented in international organizations? How can we begin to change the current realities? Granted, some of these realities may not have been created by us, but some of them were. But whatever the case is, we cannot continue to live in the past. We cannot continue to play victim. We cannot continue to be in survival mode. So the questions now are, how can we begin to be better? You see, because for me, I'm tired. I'm tired seeing Africans continue to struggle, continue to ask aid, continue to live at the mercy of others. I'm tired seeing Black people continue to blame the systems and continue to blame society and blaming everyone else but taking responsibility themselves. And that's why I'm on a mission. A mission that I want to invite you to be a part of. I'm on a mission to raise 1 million conscious African leaders, teachers and change makers who will influence the next generation. The challenges and the belief systems that have caused us to remain poor and at the bottom of every statistic were created in a generation. And if we can think about and we can focus on empowering this generation to start to change the mindset of the coming generation, then within the space of 1 to 2 generations, we can erase that effect. The effects of Willie Lynch letters and the making of a slave. The effects of King Leopold's letters continue to show up in how we be, whether on the continent or in the West. But we can do something about it. We can begin to change our own mindset and show up more powerfully as Black people, as Africans. But it's not enough to just create awareness. We must begin to show people how to bring about the change, how to change the belief systems, how to change the way they show up in the world. We must begin to teach people how to show up from a place of self-responsibility, from a place of love. We cannot continue to live in a place of spite and hate. The media will continue to show things that make us to come from a place of hate. And as the world appears to come from more hate, we need to consciously come from a place of love. When you see things like mass shootings going on because people want to eradicate the black race, it's easy. It's very easy to want to counter that with hate. But hate doesn't change anything. And that's why, for me, it begins with teaching 105 changemakers in Liberia. Begin to teach them how to lead with love and how to pass that message on to their students. How can we lead with love? How can we lead with self-responsibility? How did we acquire the current belief systems that we hold, and how can we change these belief systems? So I've launched Project Athari. And that's what we're going to be doing with 1 million leaders across Africa. Beginning with the first 105. I know it's not much, but that's where we start. And I'm excited for what's possible, especially that beginning June, these 105 teachers and change makers are going to be on a 12-week journey. And then in July, we're bringing Coach Steve Bacon. For 2 weeks, he's going to be working with these leaders, but also be taking this message of belief theory across universities in Liberia. For this to happen, I'm asking for your help. Originally, we were raising $66,000 to cover the cost of training the 105 teachers, $630 per person. And this covers the venue, feeding and other logistics, internet access, etc. And I have a whole list of what the 12 weeks will include. But now that we're bringing Coach Steve, we need to fly him and his wife down. We need to host them in a hotel. We need to ensure that they're traveling. We need vehicles. And so we need to raise more. And so I'm reaching out to you today, asking for your support in raising not $66,000, but in raising $93,000. And we're going to do it in 2 weeks. Because we start in June. Coach Steve and his wife Kamini are here in July. We end this cohort in August. And I'm committed to ensuring that we train these 105 people because the ripple effect begins with them. We train, we empower, we equip them, and they go into their communities, they go into their schools, and they begin to teach this message of love. They begin to teach from a place of love and self-responsibility. You see, for too long, we have lived in a society that looks up to other people to feed us. For too long, we've lived in societies that look up to other people to take care of our needs. And I'm done with that. I'm asking you to join me in changing this, so that in the next generation we'll have a generation of Africans who are trailblazing on their continent. We have some already, but we need more. We have great African trailblazers already, but we're going to create more. And that's what this is about. So down below, they're giving options. I'm going to challenge you to give what scares the shit out of you to this cause. If you've ever been agitated by racism, by hate, by racial hate, if you've been a victim or you've just been pissed off at it, then you need to do more than just talking about it. You need to contribute to making this happen. Because out of these trainings and learning sessions, out of the Project Athari experiences, we're going to have a curriculum even for our white brothers and sisters that they can use, that will be freely available, that you can use to educate your own folks. We cannot end hate by being hateful, but we cannot just end hate by talking. We need to do more. And I'm challenging you now to join me. Let's raise $93,000. Let's equip the 105 teachers. Let's bring Coach Steve Bacon to Liberia. Let's get him on every university campus, working with the next generation, with this generation, the coming generation of leaders, those who are going to be impacting the next generation. In 50 years, in 100 years' time, the effect of what we do today will be seen. So join me. Click on the link below. Whether it's 100, 200, 500, 630, 1,000. Hey, if you can give $100,000, then you've just made our work easy for Sierra Leone and Ghana and Nigeria. But whatever it is that you can give, I'm challenging you to give your best. Let's change the status quo. Let's begin to optimize Africa. Let's raise Black consciousness. Let's get people to understand that they have the power to create their own world. And no matter what has happened in the past, we cannot live by driving in reverse. We cannot move forward by looking at our rearview mirrors. We have to press on. And it begins with loving ourselves, forgiving our ancestors for selling us out in the first place. It's because our ancestors sold us out in the first place. That's how slavery came to be. If our ancestors didn't sell us out, we wouldn't have been sold. We wouldn't have become slaves. And so if we're going to blame people, then we need to blame our ancestors. And we need to forgive them, not blame them. And we need to forgive ourselves. And we need to forgive our oppressors. So join me. Let's raise Black consciousness. It doesn't matter whether you're Black or white, Asian or Arab. If you've been triggered by racial hate, then let's do something about it. Not from a place of advocacy, not from a place of marching, but from a place of transforming minds and changing belief systems.